You know, history is absolutely packed with unbelievable characters. But every once in a while, you stumble across someone who feels like they were ripped straight out of an adventure novel. Lieutenant Colonel Jack Churchill. He was one of those guys, except he was very, very real. And his story? It's honestly one of the most remarkable you will ever hear.
Okay, so picture this. You're on a commuter train heading out of London. The guy sitting across from you, a proper-looking colonel, has been working away quietly. Then, all of a sudden, with no warning, he gets up, slides open the window, and just yeets his briefcase out into the darkness. Then he just sits back down, like nothing happened. This wasn't some strange breakdown. Nope, that was just Jack Churchill's way of lightening his load for the walk home by tossing his work right into his own back garden.
So who was this guy, this eccentric, briefcase-throwing colonel? Well, that one bizarre little story is the perfect doorway into the life of a true one-of-a-kind adventurer, soldier, and, yeah, hero.
To really get the warrior, you first have to understand the man himself. Because Jack's incredible boldness, that wasn't something he just found during the war. It was baked into his DNA long, long before the first shots were ever fired.
And these two photos, I think they say it all. On the left, that's him on a wild road trip through Europe back in '36, and on the right, that's over 30 years later, and he's still got that same fire. The cars changed, the years went by, but the man himself, he didn't. For Jack, life was just this huge adventure, meant to be lived at full speed all the time.
And his hobbies were every bit as intense as he was. I mean, he wasn't just into motorbikes, he once rode one 1,500 miles across India. He wasn't just some guy who played the bagpipes. He came in second at the Aldershot Tattoo. That's a massive military music competition. And get this, he was the only Englishman in a field of 70. And archery? Yeah, he wasn't just an archer. He represented Great Britain in the World Championships in 1939.
But then war came, and all of that passion, all of that skill, and that sheer beautiful eccentricity, well, it finally found its ultimate stage. Jack Churchill didn't just fight in World War II, he fought it completely on his own terms. His choice of gear tells you everything you need to know. While other soldiers are carrying the latest rifles, Jack marches into battle in the 20th century armed with a basket-hilted claymore, a longbow, and his bagpipes. He actually said that any officer who went into action without his sword was improperly dressed.
And believe me, these weren't just for show. During the retreat to Dunkirk, Jack actually used his longbow to take down a German officer. To this day, it is the last confirmed longbow kill in a major war by a British soldier. He literally brought medieval warfare into the age of the machine gun. This quote, this just captures his whole audacious mindset, doesn't it? He genuinely believed that pure, overwhelming confidence was a weapon all on its own. And you know what? He proved it during the Salerno landings in Italy.
42. That's how many German prisoners, including an entire mortar crew, Jack and a single corporal captured in one night. So how did they do it? He snuck into their positions in the pitch dark, sword in hand, popped out of nowhere, and completely stunned them into surrender. His actions that night were so important, it said he single-handedly saved the Salerno beachhead. He was even put up for the Victoria Cross.
Of course, a man like Jack Churchill wasn't going to let something as minor as getting captured by the enemy stop him. For him, that was just a new kind of challenge.
The story of his capture is just as legendary as his battles. He was on a commando raid in Yugoslavia, and his unit got completely overwhelmed. So there he is, the last man standing on the objective, grenades going off all around him. What does he do? He starts playing Will Ye No Come Back Again on his bagpipes. He kept playing until a grenade blast finally knocked him out cold.
Now this is just incredible. Before he gets flown off to Berlin to be imprisoned in the Sachsenhausen concentration camp, he sits down and writes a bread-and-butter letter to the German captain who captured him, a thank you note. He's thanking him and his men for their correct treatment. You absolutely cannot make this stuff up.
So, naturally, he wasn't going to be a prisoner for very long. He and an RAF officer literally tunneled their way out of Sachsenhausen. They got caught, sure, but that didn't stop him. He got moved to another camp in Austria, so what does he do? He just escapes again, walking out when the floodlights failed. Then he navigated 150 miles over the Alps into Italy, living on vegetables he stole from gardens until he finally ran into an American armored column.
So after the war ended, which, by the way, he was pretty disappointed about, Jack's thirst for adventure was nowhere near satisfied. He just found new, and sometimes even more dangerous places to prove his courage.
In 1948, he's serving in Jerusalem during the last really chaotic days of the British Mandate in Palestine. He stumbles upon the scene of a horrific ambush, where a Jewish medical convoy full of doctors and nurses is pinned down and being slaughtered right there in the street.
Official help was tied up in red tape, so Jack just took matters into his own hands. He put together an unofficial rescue. Then he walked, by himself, right into the middle of the firefight, just swinging his walking stick, and made this offer to the people trapped in the buses. His own reason for this incredible bravery? He just said, people are less likely to shoot at you if you smile at them.
But, tragically, they refused his help. They believed their own forces were on the way to save them. Jack pleaded with them, told them it was their last chance, but their minds were made up. Help never arrived, and 77 people were killed in what became known as the Hadassah Medical Convoy Massacre.
Even later in life, Jack's eccentric adventures just never stopped. He learned to surf while he was stationed in Australia, and when he got back to England, he became the first person to ever ride the famous 5-foot tidal wave on the River Severn. And he did it on a board that he designed himself, of course.
So what do you even make of a man like Mad Jack Churchill? He was an archer in the age of airplanes, a swordsman in the age of the atom bomb. He was a romantic, a true individual, and a man of just absolutely limitless boldness.
I think his lifelong friend Rex King Clark probably summed him up the best with this. Jack Churchill is a reminder that history isn't just made by big armies and grand strategies, but by singular, unforgettable people who dared to live by their own code. And his is a story that truly, truly defies belief.